Yesterday was enlightening, and today we're breaking down Coffee Stain's Update 8 video covering the world changes, but first let's jump into the juicy stuff. We have two new creature variants of the fluffy tail hog, which are the Cliff Hog and the Nuclear Hog, which are late game alphas which feature new attacks as well, so be careful. The Cliff Hog has a ram attack, but rather than immediately flinging you, it will pin you, causing damage over time as long as you're pinned. Also, with it being a cliff variant, you can expect the real killer here to be the fall from the cliff. Now, I think that gives us more reason to invest in better weaponry and also to ensure that we always travel with a jetpack on us. And from the video, I think this particular area is the Abyss Cliffs, but I am concerned that we'll also be seeing this in the Northern Forest by the perfect starting spot. This could make the spot unusable now unless you're well prepared, but that does give the spot a better risk-reward payoff for building there. The second one is the Nuclear Hog. Now this looks definitely more terrifying, but it's pretty much the same in appearance other than its bright green veins. Now it is rather nastier in that not only will it pin you like the Cliff Hog, but it will also do secondary damage from radiation. Now this will give us more of a reason to use hazmat suits, but it does leave me wondering whether they'll have any new loot for us. And with them also doing considerable amounts of damage from their pinning attacks, whether we can expect new armor to be unlocked in the game somehow. Do you think armor will come to the game? Let me know in the comments below. And I should also mention that we can see this Nuclear Hog in the red jungle area or the edge of the bamboo forest, I'm not quite sure. And of course we've also seen one of these in the Titan Forest teaser too. So that's a pretty big impact to the exploration game, but what about the world changes? Well, there's been a lot of them. Firstly, expect foliage to regrow on the update as usual. This happens pretty much with every update that affects the world. Now, other changes in the world update include the cliffs. They've been reworked. This does mean that some of the cliffs may have changed in size slightly, but it shouldn't affect our bases too much, with the exception of one area that we'll talk about shortly. Take, for example, here we have the Grassy Fields Arch. It looks the same, but the size has been changed slightly due to the way that they've redone the cliffs. There's also been minor foliage changes to the Grassy Fields, the Crater Lakes, and the Abyss Cliffs. These are all minor changes to the biomes. However, we have some larger changes to the biomes. For example, we all know that the Titan Forest has been given a complete overhaul. The area looks fantastic at the moment with a lot more foliage. It feels a lot more alive. And the Titan trees have also been given a good reskinning. But do note that the Titan tree placement hasn't changed. However, they are thinner along the trunk, and the top branches may have changed position. So if you do have factories there, you may need to inspect them to see if there are any changes that need to happen within your factory. And speaking of factories, the Eastern Dune Forest and the Coin Tree Forest have both had some rework on the foliage as well, but the majority of these changes come from the creation of natural roads and ways to path through these areas. So your factories shouldn't need much work being done. If anything, there may be a little bit of minor clipping. Other changes to biomes, we have the Red Jungle. Now this has actually had a full foliage overhaul with the exception of the larger trees, which surprises me because in the last video I said this was something we could expect at a later date, and it looks like it's come for update 8. So fantastic work, guys. I'm really impressed with that. And we also have the Rocky Desert. Now with all of the cliffs being reworked, there's considerable work with the Rocky Desert cliff sides. This shouldn't really affect us too much unless you have factories hugging the cliffs, in which case they may need some more foundations, otherwise they may look like they're floating a little bit, but it shouldn't affect us too much. The bamboo fields are also being reworked currently, but they're not going to be fully ready for update 8, so you can expect to see some changes between the landscape and the foliage, and it may look a little mismatched for the time being, but these are going to be worked on and changed at a later date. So probably best to avoid building there for the time being if you're concerned about rocks appearing within your factory, for example. We then have the desert canyons, and this is the small spot between the Dune Desert, the Spire Coast, and the Northern Forest, Titan Forest. And they mentioned that they were going to be working on it in update 6, update 7. But Jace has confirmed that it's gone under quite a major change, as it's considered a transitional biome between all those biomes we've just mentioned. Now, this means that you can expect your factories to be swallowed up by potentially the new landscaping. So if you do have factories there, pack up your bags and get out of there if you can. Speaking of which, I have actually covered how to move your factory in just a few clicks by using the Satisfactory interactive map. If you want to move your factory from there, then do check out the video. I'll put the link in the top right-hand corner now. And whilst we're on the subject of major changes, stay away from building in the caves, as there's a lot of changes coming to them, both in terms of the foliage, but also their structure as well. Now, this won't all happen by update 8. I think they started working on this in update 4, the Northern Forest update, if I remember rightly, or maybe that was 5. But all the caves have been planned to be changed, and they're just slowly going through them all. So do stay away from them for now. Another thing that's being changed, and it's going to be changed over the next coming updates, is the world perimeter. And it's quite a big change. Now, this won't actively affect us playing the game, but it will make the world that's just out of reach of us look a lot prettier, and also feel like this island that we're on is actually more part of a larger world around us that's just cut off due to large natural obstacles, such as the Dune Cliff Void, which you can see here. I guess it'll just make the world feel a little bit more immersive, which is never a bad thing in my opinion. Now, these changes will be starting in update 8, but as I mentioned, they will be going and are planned to be completed for 1.0. And if that wasn't enough, they've also got a lot more planned. They've released a roadmap of roughly the planned changes that they want to bring to the world after update 8 as well. The areas in blue, which you can see here, which are the Western Beaches, Western Dune Forest, and the Blue Crater, will have mild to significant foliage changes and a mild landscape polish, which shouldn't meaningfully affect our factories. However, there are 3 red areas. These, like the blue areas, will have the mild to significant foliage changes, but more importantly, they may have landscape changes which will impact our factories, or possibly impact our factories. So if you haven't built in them those particular areas yet, you might want to avoid them for the time being. And these areas are the jungle spires, including the Dune Road, the bamboo fields, including the bamboo maze, and the southern forest, which is the blue forest that leads into the Blue Crater. I also want to just quickly mention a note on the exploration changes, such as where the ore nodes are located, the berry bushes and nut bushes and fungi, for example, the enemy creatures, drop pods, slugs, and all the likes like that. There will be a full pass over the whole map once the map is done. So expect this coming in the update prior to 1.0, or maybe 1.0. They'll also be adding the ore nodes for the Spire Coast, but that will come at a later date, so don't expect it for update 8. So there we are, some pretty big changes coming to the game, but in the main they shouldn't affect our factories too much. But we are going to leave it there. Why not let me know which biome you're most excited to be checking out in update 8 in the comments below. Obviously, if you found this video helpful, please do hit the thumbs up, and if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And special thanks does go to all of our amazing supporters on Patreon, most notably our Socialise patrons James Irwin, Firefless, and Trebor, as well as our Lunars, the Calamity, Ben, Star, Shoku the M and Wolf, and That Dude AW, as well as our Blood Moon of the Day, which today is the City Rat. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.